before you can actually conjure the force, the power, the intervention of the archangels to their extreme, their most powerful manifestation. You need to practice this art of feeling them, of tuning into their consciousness, what you have been doing this morning, what was initiated yesterday evening through the contemplating of the virtuous ways. Then there will be the actual summoning. They'll give you a little technique, takes 4 minutes. If you don't have anything precise in mind, you can just invoke it for a pleasure. But it really does require this feeling, this modulation of feeling. Now you will be going back home after being on a spiritual high from this weekend. Did you notice that we have been only talking for 2.5, 3 hours? Are you under the impression we have been here like out of time? It's been a week. What happened yesterday? Doesn't yesterday seem far? Okay? Or altering your consciousness. Okay? This grace of God, this power, is shifting your perception. And you are evolving at such a speed that a normal human would feel, oh, it's like it's been 1 week. You have so much experiences that you're evolving faster than the usual. That's why the shift of time, this feeling of unreference to what was yesterday. Like yesterday was like last week or last month. It's far away. You'll try to make another reference in time tomorrow evening after the seminar, and you'll be completely thrown off. Except those of you who are used to it, because you don't care. All right, but you'll be going back home. And going back home, you will not be in this environment where 3 major influences are present. The first, the most important major influence is God is present because we invoke Him. The second influence is the Master. I'm teaching you. I'm affecting you. And the third influence is your synergy, your collective amplification of your own experience that makes it rich for everyone. Huh? You will not have these influences when you go back home. You'll be on your own. And you will feel yourself come back to a normal human state of being. It's normal. But we have covered the human square, okay, that I like to call Michael, Raphael, Gabriel, Haniel. These archangels are the first one you should charge. Charge them through contemplation. Oh no, if you're normal human beings, you're asking yourself, what's the recipe? How many times of contemplation for how many days? Well, I don't give a shit really. But if you really, I mean, I'm gonna compose something. This is Kabbalah, this is 10, okay? So an angel is contemplated 10 minutes per day for 10 days to grasp the experience enough that it will stick into you. And it just so happens that this is the real suggested recipe anyway. So if you have 40 minutes in your day, you're going to have 10 minutes for one of the basic archangels, the most important archangels for the human experience, okay? Alright? If you have only 10 minutes per day, well, you'll do one, and in 10 days you'll do another. It's just a recipe, okay? If you do like me, or like some other that I know, you'll just do them a lot. And when you're overwhelmed, you know that you have twice that to do, and then you get divine power. So, if you want a human experience and be good with it, develop your relationship. But now I'm going to suggest to you something. After a while of contemplation of the state of being, talk aloud with voice, with volume, not shouting, not whispering. Talk. Mikael. Keep me in humility. Show me the way to faith. Present to me what is the experience of God. Lead me on my spiritual path. And radiate in my life so that everything will be wonderful and blessed by the love of God. It's an example prayer. Don't write this word by word. Pray. Whatever the archangel would have inspired you. Haniel. Bring me my daily bread, and please allow me to rejoice as much as I will allow others to rejoice from it. Teach me forgiveness. Teach me charity, and lead me on the virtuous way. Amen. No? You inspire yourself a short, less than 1 minute prayer with voice, just to get the hang of having the physical speaking of that, of these energies. Huh? Right? Now, you will go back home, and if you do this practice, I know some of you have billions of practice already. This is a new one, okay? For those who are in the Kabbalistic way. Those who don't dig Kabbalah and you want to do the Kujin and Avatar, and Kama Chakra, the I don't know, my yoga process, the CDs, you want to do the Holy Path, the Rishinaya. There are tons of things you can do, and we only ask the Acharyas in our tradition to master them all. And even then, sometimes it's not possible. Because Kabbalah is 10 years of guided process before you get to the supreme powers, resurrection, creation of matter, and stuff like that. Okay? So, start with this kind of contemplation if you feel attracted to this Christian Hebrew type approach. Okay? And if you won't be going back home to practice this specific technique, it doesn't matter. Because the wisdom about the virtue and the vices, it came in. Huh? And you got this, and you understand this aspect. Right? Mikael, Raphael, Gabriel, Haniel, to have the best possible human life. Okay? A normal life. Everything else is just one tad beyond. When we go into these, we go into higher state of existence. We still have human implications in there. But there's something a tad more subtle. So if you found it not too obvious to feel and understand these archangels, well, be patient and give yourself time before you understand the others. Because the more we go, the more subtle their meaning and implication are. Okay? So I'm going to inspire you as best I can with words, but part of the work is this radiance that I'm going to have, the actual presence of the archangels when I summon them, and when, mostly because you also are participating in contemplating the wisdom. And do your best. But from now on, let's agree to something. You will not grasp the true essence of these archangels, of the next ones. Okay? You will not. And be at peace with that. You will successfully tune in to these archangels with practice. Okay? So breathe. Observe your need to understand. And if you're a slave to the mind, need to understand. Think about this small metaphor. When you first got on a bike, we explained to you the importance to stay stable on your bike, but still you went on and you fell. Because it's only through experience that some things are gained. So the more you experience it, the more it's going to make sense. Did you find so far that contemplating these archangelic states of being, these feelings, started to bring sense? Why the virtue, why the vice, how it works within you, what makes you happy, the way you communicate with people, with humility and faith, and with prudence, handling your life, helping others out with their problems, and then with strength, determination, and willpower, and that rejoicing, but not to fall in luxury. You know, these feelings that kind of start to make sense one another. So we'll take this one, fifth archangel, Kamael. Alright, so in the most recent structures, you will see the archangel Samael. What was then Saint Samuel. Okay? Samael is not an authentic archangel of Kabbalah. The Christians purchased a part of the wisdom from the Hebrew tradition. And there is not only the Torah in the Hebrew tradition. There's not only the Bible in the Hebrew tradition, the Old Testament. There are many other books. Sefer HaRaziel, Sefer HaZohar, Kabbalah, Shem HaMeforash. There are books and systems and structures that Christianity did not pull in. So since the word Kamael, the archangel Kamael, does not appear even once in the Bible that the Christian built from the Jewish wisdom, they needed to throw Kamael out. Political decision. If every word in that book is the true word and everything that is not in that book has to be false, they needed to alter the wisdom to fit their political decision when they sorted out the wisdom. They did this with a lot of things. In any case, Kamael is the fifth archangel. And if you ever read Samael somewhere, it's off track and has not much to do with it. At least they took the angel that sounded as much as possible as what it was, and it does inspire a sense of power, but it does not deliver the wisdom. The wisdom is Ka. Is, okay, Aleph Bey. Ka is something that is provoked, a consequence of, okay? Ma is a thing, that, okay? Dictionary-wise, Ka-ma in Hebrew means what came from something, you know? The result of, let's say the result of. Contextually, it can be so different, okay? So I have learned it is the action of God, Kamael, okay? But dictionary meaning, it means what is from God, resulting from His incarnation, from this El, okay? So we say it is the action of God. And in the 5, you have the idea of the 5-pointed star, the 5 elements all together. You have this idea of the power, the strength. It is the planet Mars, the warrior. It is the power. The name of God at the 5th sphere is Elohim Gibor. The various divine experiences of power. Elohim Gibor, the multiple instances where God is strong. That's what Elohim Gibor means. The 5th sphere, the 5th Sephiroth, is named Geburah, the strength. And Kamael is the archangel of the plane of causality, of the realm of cause and effect, the 5th plane. If the 10th plane is physicality and the 9th plane is life, the 8th is emotion and the 7th is mind or intellect. The 6th is wisdom and the 5th is cause, causality, the principles of cause and effect, not in the physical realm, cause and effect at the level of the soul, because cause and effect at the level of physicality, we would call that Saint-Alphon, and this is one of the second last that we will learn. Okay. Kamael is the contemplation of what resulted from God wanting to incarnate. So there is a desire in Kamael. It is something that comes from God incarnating, Kamael. We can even make a parallel with the Sanskrit word kama, that means to desire. to want something, to be ready to move in order to go and acquire an object of desire. Kama is the principle of posing an action to obtain, as opposed to kara, which is to act. Kama is acquire or try to have something you want. Okay? It is to desire. It is the feeling of yearning. That's kama in the Hindu philosophy. So Kamael is, from one human point of view, to desire God. But from the soul's point of view, it is God's desire to come, or God's desire to act, God's desire to cause. Okay? The authentic desire, the wanting to love, the wanting to experience. And in this sense, this desire to love, the fifth sphere is the reflection of the third above, which is where love became aware of itself. Okay? Self-love happens in the third sphere. So the subtlety of this plane of causality, the subtlety of this fifth aspect of our existence, that makes it not so clear. So you can only contemplate that there is a desire to produce something in every other plane below it. There is a wanting to discover, that became Kamael. So what is God? So before there was the question, what is God in Kamael, there was the question, there's something I want. And let's go find out. Okay, that is Kamael. Now breathe. And Kamael is the archangel that will deliver the virtue of strength, as opposed to the power that will become anger, the vice, the vicious action or experience of anger. So stay in that idea of strength, and strength for God is to be fixed in the desire to be in the state of love. So that when something wants to throw you out of the absorption of oneness, when something wants to push you out of your spiritual path of Kamael, when something wants you not to rejoice in a responsible way, to go into luxury or to cut off the goods from everyone into envy, when something pushes you out of a simple experience of love, Kamael is that power. It is the stubbornness of God to discover love in manifestation. And that is the strength of God. That is the power. I will remain saint, holy, virtuous being. I will stay firm in what I experience as compassion. I will stay firm in my desire to discover, my wanting of love. And I will move with the power which will eventually become Gabriel. And I will distribute. I will allow others to feel that desire. I want you so much to know that there's something wonderful. I'm so fixed and determined that I will experience oneness, love, compassion, and that I want you to experience it too. And it will become charity. And you want to be sure that love prevails, so you'll be prudent. Okay? That strength that just fixes you on the holiest of mindsets. So that when you go at the job and you're just used to act like someone at the job, and even at some point you're afraid, what will they think of me when I start to act with virtue at the job? When I start to be too kind to the secretary and the janitor that usually you're supposed to bully, because it's everyone does it. Some of you, sometimes I've been in some places where there's the directors and then there's the staff, and there's a separation of point of view, of class, of pay grade, and they start being normal beings seeking the love of God. They become people in a hierarchy. So what will they think on the street when you start to really care about what the other feels? What will they think when the appropriate thing to do is to wait to see if someone is going to be good or if they need some help to get off their bench. Don't go to some random old geezer, say, you need help to get out of your bench, I want to practice charity. You know, he might just say, piss off. You know? Don't become arrogant and try to invent that they have needs. That's not prudent. That's not wise. But stay firm in your availability to do it if required. Stay firm in your availability to want this experience of charity more than the experience of financial security. But then assure yourself that you'll have enough money to eat every day. Yeah? It's good, it's very good, plan ahead. But will you stay enslaved to this insecurity of finances when you have enough and become a materialist? It takes great courage not to be materialist in your society. It takes great courage, especially the financial planners, because their job is to make sure that people remain that way. And Tara, my beloved Tara, who loves to teach wisdom how to be happy while he's selling insurance plans and stuff like that, you know. He finds a way. I mean, he's been a financial planner all his life, has like more than almost 5,000 clients. I mean, he's successful, you know. And he thinks in his approach, I actually have a justification to get into their house now and speak to them about happiness. So he's not selling numbers, he's teaching them to be happy. So he gets the plan, financial product, and starts with what will make you happy. And he's not talking about numbers, they do, but it doesn't matter. And they go on like this, and for most people it's okay, but sometimes, like more often than we think, he ends up talking about the ghosts that have been roaming around and how to deal with that, and the depression of the dollar. You know, the dollar is depressed, and you know, it's this, it's that. And some of his clients, always diligent, always making sure they really want to talk about that thing, you know. And he grew expedient mean in trying to find out at which level they're ready to interact, and he goes exactly at that level and never beyond. Never. Never to do propaganda, never to go aggressive in their system of belief, and if what they believe is materialist numbers, he will just do that. Knowing that he has been in that house and he has radiated. That is Kamael. Stay firm in the availability to act like God. And that is the power of God. And when anger strikes you, you don't do anything. You read and you sort it out. And if you need to take it out of your system because it's going to hurt if you keep it in, you'll go and shout and hit your pillow or something that cannot break, that cannot hurt your fists, you know. Punching bag if you're used to that thickness. You'll get your anger out on no one and for no reason. And Kamael is to desire the experience of love more than the experience of flesh. Kamael is to want to experience what comes from God more than what comes from human experience. And you do this in your human experience, not separate. It's one. Kamael, stay firm. Stay firm in the faith. Breathe and relax. Kamael. Kamael. When you were just a poor sinner, you wanted Kamael, Gabriel, Michael to help you, but now you want to become a saint, so you have to become that Kamael. A divine level of determination for the spiritual existence. The Buddha said you need to get to a point where you will be completely convinced Enlightenment is the only option, and you will get it. Kamael. Experience that comes from God. That is the cause of all things. Every human experience is caused by this desire. Kamael. God, give me the strength to change what can be changed. The humility to accept what cannot be changed. And the discernment to make a difference between those. Strength, Kamael. It's not a power. It is not aggressive. It is an emotional feeling. It is desire. Is profound and gentle. The strength of God is not persecuting you. It's not aggressive. It's gentle and cannot be affected. It is the unbreakable will. Kamael. Desire God in everything. It produces a form of spiritual yearning. And it is a power that drives. Breathe. Pay attention to this new part of wisdom. Those who gain the experience of compassion so much that you start to dwell in a state of indifference. You lack strength. If you have so much compassion and elevation in your perception of God, in the middle pillar, your bhumi is of a high level, and you get to the point that you find life boring, you in truth are being so arrogant, despising how God created all things because you rejected this desire. So if you find life to start to be boring because what's it worth to be here anyway? If there's God, I don't need to be here. What's the use? Everyone's suffered, everyone's heavy, I don't care anymore. That's arrogant. That is forgetting the purpose why you're here. You have been caused to desire. So when you yearn for something, don't whip yourself with regret and guilt. When you desire something, remember, it comes from that fifth plane. It calls you to want to enjoy luxury in the seventh level. It calls you to experience desire just in the sphere under, the eighth level. You know? That emotional desire we have at the eighth plane is inspired by the soul's desire to love. And at the emotional level, we do it with incompetence. We start to love stuff outside of us more than the stuff inside. So please, if you can make an effort to come out of this lethargy of soul that doesn't see the purpose anymore of incarnation, and inflame yourself with that desire. Kamael. I will conquer the universe because this is what God tries to do. And if you want to do, if you want oneness, if you want to experience divinity, you need to be imbued with that divine desire as much as God is. Kamael. Enflame yourself. The angels at this level, we call them the Seraphim, the inflamed ones. I will succeed. I will accomplish myself. I will conquer the realm that my Father has created, so that His will be done on earth as in the heavens, so that His kingdom will come as it is coming right now. Kamael is also a power that motivates you to act according to the laws of supernature. And he is also trying to free you from the chains in nature. He would be the Buddhist Fudonyo with his sword, walking in hell, cutting the attachments. He would be Shiva, the vanquisher of death, the great vanquishing of mortal issues, the Mahamrityunjaya, that severs your bonds to natural forces, your enslavement. That is why Kamael has the sword of non-attachment. Kamael is that part of the universe that instructs you. You know, when we have a spiritual instruction. So a few of you start to have the spiritual instructions you need. You know you need to do something, but your human does not necessarily agree. Above that, there's no instruction. There is inspiration maybe at the third plane, but not much. This is what pushes you, cause this, cause that. Some of you say, oh, you hear God? You can converse with God? Of course, but not like a human does, like a soul does. I pay attention. I say, I listen to the instruction of God. I'm not listening. It's not using my ears. I'm paying attention. I'm being conscious of the impulse of causality that pushes me. And I disregard the will that comes from my human preferences and desires. And I say, may your will be done and not mine. It's just a way of paying attention to that plane and feeling the impulse that the souls want to experience. So if I look at a soul and I see this is what they desire, this is what is meant at the level of their program, you know, that agenda of what they want to discover, I'll act that way. I'll say, okay, I'll do it because I feel causality. Above causality, there's nothing to do. There cannot be an instruction. There's no order. There's no information about what to do or what not to do. So it's normal to be lost when you start to exist beyond the fifth plane. When you start to exist purely as consciousness, fourth plane, and you are conscious of the three first universal existences, you can call it that way, you can feel lost a bit. But if because of this feeling lost, you stop wanting to live, you stop wanting to embrace physicality, you're arrogant. Go, conquer the world, but never as a human, as God would, by embracing it, by taking the world in His arms, making sure everything will be fine, with faith, humbly, with charity, yet enjoying everything, rejoicing. Feel alive, Shaddai El Chai, Gabriel, feel it. That all comes from the Kamael experience. This impulse to want to discover God and still be as densely incarnated as possible. Because this is what God desires. We're down here And we want him up there. He's up there, he wants us down here. Okay? Feel it. Kamael. Develop that will at the level of the soul, which is slightly different from the will as a human. It's a will, a determination that the intellect can only understand as stubbornness to become a holy man or holy woman. Of not going into the vicious behavior. That's the only way to inspire humans of what it is. Kamael is beyond that. But you can grasp it once you know how to exist there. Real feeling, real power. And it is on the right pillar of vigor. And it is an important exercise for you if you want. If you're one of those persons that is afraid to take action when you wait for others to take action. If you have a difficulty to go and have issues with fire, to go in life and lead your life with a sense of strength, okay, that will be good for you. Kamael. Kamael is the experience behind every spiritual empowerment. Kamael is Ganesh. It moves, it is unstoppable, it holds to the strength, to the will. It cannot be stopped or affected. Kamael. The Hindu would celebrate him. Om Jaya Shri Ganesh. You have won again, so powerful you are. What we do, the occult, Occidental, Christian, Kabbalists, we say, God inflame me with your desire to love unconditionally and even undefined. So that next part is a mystery why it has to do with the fifth plane, but unconditional love is the love that you will have regardless, but it's still enslaved to the ego in some way. It's a stepping stone. Unconditional is a one step. A mother has unconditional love, and it is a love out of wisdom, because it could be a criminal, a killer, or whatever, the mother will still love the children. That is unconditional love. It also means that unconditional love is not very wise. But then again, the higher wisdom of that is, why would you stop to love any criminal? And that is your flaw as a mother. If your child's friend is a liar or a criminal, you're going to hate him. So you don't have unconditional love. You have very fixed, limited, conditional love. I love you with no condition as long as you're my child. Well, that's not unconditional love. Okay? The higher state of love is undefined. Undefined love. Love that is not for a neighbor. Love that is not for a child, for a parent, for a lover, or a friend. That love that is not for family. Love that has no reason to exist but itself. That just wants to love. That intense, powerful want to love. That is also an experience of Kamael. Not only is it unconditional love, but it is undefined. There's no way to appropriately express it. It's just inside. You need that love experience. Kamael. You need God in all things. And you will make an effort to find love in every defined thing you have. In every object, in every person, in every relationship you have with animate or inanimate mass. You will practice yourself at loving in every various definition possible, so that you can eventually grasp the undefined love. The love that you have for no special thing precisely. Just have it. So can you understand the plane of causality is love? Causality is love at the level that the soul feels it. And the emotional plane is where love is felt for the human. And the third plane of transformation is love at the level that God experiences it. Okay? We say there is a pillar of love and a pillar of wisdom. But the Hebrew wouldn't dare say so. They called it vigor. And what was the other name? Clemency? Some people misunderstood this to be resilience. It's not. I'm just allowing it to affect you. Okay? Just allowing you to set this spiritual flame. And that is the mystery behind the strength of God. It is this love that He has for individualized manifestations, knowing they are still not separate from the whole. Breathe and feel. It's a more subtle experience of love, isn't it? That is why you will stand firm and act in virtue. That is why you have the power to stand in positivity, because there's always hope. And that is why you will rejoice in charity for everyone to partake of the grace of God. And that is why you will have faith in God and be humble on your path, because there is love.